Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's time to turn it up and let the music flow. Step behind the curtain, take a front row seat. Talking rock and roll, got the stories on repeat. From classic hits to brand new sound, we're digging deep where legends are found. Show, let's go. Dr. Rock's Backstage Pass. Yes, yeah. We're talking concerts, riffs, and tracks. From past to present, the music lasts. Turn it up, let's have a blast. Let's play. From vinyl spins to streaming waves, chart toppers, deep cuts, the songs that stay. If you've got a band, let's hear your sound. Songs that stay. If you've got a band, let's hear your sound. We'll crank it up and break it down. Let's rock, let's rock. It's time for the show, let's go. Dr. Rock's Backstage Pass. We're talking concerts, riffs, and tracks. From past to present, the music lasts. Turn it up, let's have a blast. Let's party. What's your favorite? What's the best show? Man, what's the top track? Let's roll it back. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Dr. Rock's Backstage Pass. Let's ride. Music memories come alive. New tunes, old grooves, rockin' blast. Welcome in your VIP class. And now it's showtime.
All right, everybody, this is Dr. Rock. Welcome to the Backstage Pass studio. I am going to do a little special thing for you here tonight. I was on MSN's search engine earlier today, and I saw a ranking of Metallica's 11 studio albums, and I necessarily wasn't in agreement on every one of their rankings, so I thought, as a Metallica fan, I do have a Metallica tattoo, and I have seen Metallica many, many, many times. I'm going to give you my rankings compared to their rankings, and we will see how things go according to which one of us is going to be more accurate. I am, but anyway. So anyway, we're going to do that right here in just a second. So once again, I appreciate hey, if there's something you want me to do a topic on as well, leave it in the comments below or send me a personal message. I'd be more than happy to do a segment on anything that you would like me to do it on. All right, so here we go with number 11 on my list. Number 11 on my list. Now, their list, they put 72 seasons. Now, I'm not in agreement with that being their... Now, of course, this is a really hard one for me to do a ranking on because I love Metallica. I like all of their music, even the ones... Well, no, I don't really like the one that they did with... that Lulu was terrible. With Lou Reed. That was awful. Anyway, that wasn't a Metallica album. That was a Lou Reed album. Anyway, the 11 studio albums, I love all 11 studio albums. They have definitely been around for 43 years, 42 years, 44 years, something like that. However you want to. 81 was when they formed, but their first album came out in 83. But technically, their first single came out in 82. So however you want to put it. Anyway, they said 72 seasons was by far the least. I like 72 seasons. It's not my favorite thing they've done, but I do like it. But my number 11 is going to be Reload. I was not a big fan of this album when it came out. Still not a huge fan of it. It does, of course, have some really good songs on it. So I'm not going to say it's not good, but it's not my favorite. Reload is the seventh studio album by Metallica, released 1997. It's the follow-up album to Load from 1996. It's similar in styles and in the themes. Of course, the two albums were originally conceived as a double album, but the band decided to split the material into two separate releases. Now, of course, one of my all-time favorite songs by Metallica, which is one I used to use to get me hyped up, is Fuel. One of the album's most well-known tracks by far. It becomes one of the live songs that they do pretty much all the time. And it's, of course, got some huge energy. The riffs in it are great, and the lyrics are unbelievable. The Memory Remains, once again, love that song. Not saying I don't like this album. I do like this album. It's just, if I have to rank them, I have to put it at the bottom just because really those are the only two that stood out for me on the whole album. I did not care for The Unforgiven 2. It was a sequel to The Unforgiven, but should never do a sequel song. Despite the mixed critical reviews, Reload debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, continuing to show that Metallica is still a commercial dominant. I mean, they are still putting out great albums even to this day, that many years later. So I do have to say that is number 11 on my list, and I hate to do that to them because I love Metallica. All right, coming in at number 10. Now, on number 10 on their list, they actually had Saint Anger. Mine is way higher down the list than number 10. But I chose 72 Seasons. Now, the reason I chose 72 Seasons is literally I just haven't had enough time to listen to it 100% like everything else that they've done. 72 Seasons is the 11th studio album by Metallica, released in 2023. The album marks a continuation of the band's legacy as pioneers of heavy metal and showcased their enduring energy and created over 4 decades of amazing music now in their career. So the two standout songs for me, obviously, was the first single, Lux Eterna. That is the lead single that came off of that album. It's an energetic track with a classic Bay Area thrash vibe. The title, of course, means eternal light in Latin, embodying the themes of hope and renewal, which is what they're trying to do to their careers, even though they don't need to. They've been around forever, and they're pioneers of the thrash metal. The other song, of course, that stands out to me is 72 Seasons, the title track. It sets a tone for the album with intense riffs and the lyrics that James just put his heart and soul into, like he does in everything. I do have to say, over time, I'm sure this album will go farther down the charts, probably into the top 5 or 6 for me. But for right now, that's all I can do for him. So 72 Seasons did debut at the top spots on charts worldwide, reaffirming that Metallica's relevance and enduring popularity is still there. I haven't been to a concert of theirs in a long time, but I have had friends that went to their last one. That was at US Bank Stadium with, the two-nighter. And from what I understand, there were age groups of all ages there. So that's good to see that the Metallica is still putting out music that everybody wants to come and see. All right, now we're to number 9 on the list. Number 9 on the list for them was Death Magnetic. Now, of course, we're talking about a lot of the newer Metallica stuff here, at least on their list. I love Death Magnetic, but once again, I haven't had enough time to really listen to it. But number 9 on my list is Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Now, Hardwired is a great album. Once again, I am not taking anything away from the boys in the band. I mean, Death Magnetic is a great album. that they say is number 9, and I say Hardwired. It's their 10th studio album. It was the one that was just released back in 2016, which of course makes it 9 years old already, which is unbelievable. It marked another critical and commercial success for the band, showcasing their ability to evolve while staying true to their roots. It is a heavy metal album. I am not lying. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Atlas Rise, Moth into a Flame. I mean, they're great, great, great songs. I mean, Hardwired to Self-Destruct truly is a fast and furious thrash anthem reflecting themes of societal decay and honestly taking personal responsibility and accountability for yourself. So we are being hardwired to self-destruct, and you know, James nailed it pretty good there. Atlas Rise, it's about the myth of Atlas, the symbolizing burden and struggle. If you're not a Metallica fan, take the songs that I'm telling you about and just take a listen to them, even if it's for 30, 45 seconds, but get a feel for what I'm giving to you. A Moth into the Flame is dynamic. The riff is great in there. It's got a soaring chorus that sounds unbelievable. Critics praise this album for its energy, cohesiveness, and ability to balance nostalgia with innovation. It was seen as a reaffirmation of Metallica's relevance in modern metal. Now, I do agree with that, but I also don't agree with that, because at the time, modern metal was not necessarily what they were doing on this album. But the album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, making it Metallica's 6th consecutive studio album to reach this milestone. That's unbelievable. A metal band that can successfully put out 6 albums that reach number 1 on Billboard 200. For a metal band, that's ridiculous. So Metallica killing it as usual with that album right there, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Once again, unfortunately, it's got to be number 9 on my list, or number 9 on my list. All right, so number 8 on my list and number 8 on their list. Number 8 on their list was Reload. Of course, that was number 11 on mine. I just had to put it somewhere, was not a fan of it. But my number 8 is their number 9. That is Death Magnetic. I think the album is great. But once again, it's one of those albums that I had to put somewhere on the list, and I don't like doing it that way. It was their 9th studio album, released in 2008. The album marked a significant return to the band's thrash metal roots after the subpar 90s and early 2000s stuff that they did. This was the first studio album that featured the bassist Robert Trujillo, who joined the band in 2003. Of course, he came from Ozzy Osbourne, I believe. There's 4 really big songs on there that I remember hearing for the first time and going, yeah, these are great songs. Of course, That Was Just Your Life, the opening track, sets the tone with a clean, suspenseful intro that builds into a fast-paced thrash assault. The Day That Never Comes, a ballad track, kind of like One, slow build to a frenzied out. Yeah, it's a great song. Cyanide, a groove. Ooh, that has got a great. It's a groovy heavy metal song with a dark existential lyrics and a powerful bass presence. Something that I think they were missing during Jason Newsted's time. I don't believe they gave him enough. I don't think they gave him enough credit, and they definitely didn't let him have enough say in the band. Which, of course, anyway, we'll get into that at another time. And of course, the 4th song, All Nightmare Long. Love that album. Love the song. Death Magnetic was hailed as a comeback album, but it really wasn't, because they hadn't gone anywhere. But yes, after putting this album out, people realized, oh man, they are back to being thrash metal again. It's praised for its energy, its musicianship, the return to that thrash-oriented sound like I had said earlier. However, The production quality drew some criticism from audiophiles. I'm not an audiophile. I don't get excited about having to have $10,000 worth of stereo equipment to listen to music. I can deal with it without that. The album did debut at number one in 34 countries, including the United States, making Metallica the first band to have 5 consecutive studio albums. We just talked about that, with 6 with the Hardwired. So Metallica's back, man. You know, 72 Seasons is a great album as well that was just released last year or this year, 2024. So I'm excited to see if they can maybe put one more out. We'll see. You never know. On the list, of course, the I believe it was Rolling Stone magazine that ranked these. So number 7 for them was Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I think they're giving that a little bit too much credit. I don't know. I had it at number 9. They have it at 7. My number 7 is actually, let me look at the list here, was their number 10 album. Now, I personally think Saint Anger, other than Lars's snare drum in a couple of those songs, I think that Saint Anger is a great album. Now, I am a alcoholic drug addict. Recovering, of course. So I understand what James was going through in this album. He had a lot of energy. He had a lot of anger. He felt like he had monsters and demons inside of him. And some days, you know, I felt like that as well. So Saint Anger was the 8th studio album by Metallica, released in 2003, is probably the least critically acclaimed album by critics, which of course I never listen to critics because critics don't like what I like. Anyway, the early 2000s were a tumultuous time for Metallica. Jason Newsted had left the band in 2001. Honestly, I know why, or at least what he said why he wanted to do some solo side project stuff, and Metallica was like, no, you're in Metallica or you're not, which I think is BS, because Kirk Hammett went and played on a song on the Judgment Night soundtrack, so I believe he did it with Orbital or something like that. So anyway, and of course James entered rehab for alcoholism and other personal issues. On this album, he literally set a timeline. I'm out of here at 5 o'clock because he was a family man now. And for that, I praise him for knowing that his family is the most important thing to him. Now, I am going to talk about a few of these songs, and I think Frantic, the opening song, that is that god-awful snare drum, but I actually now really love that song. Frantic is a great song. Saint Anger, it really is about releasing your inner turmoil. Aggressive, very aggressive song. And Some Kind of Monster, now they made a movie called Some Kind of Monster. Now I personally did not care for the movie. I think it was overhyped. I think they acted a lot in it. I don't believe that is really how it was. They were just trying to sell an album. It could be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not putting anything past Metallica. It could really have been real. Despite all the controversy about this album, Saint Anger debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and topped charts in over 30 countries. Saint Anger actually won a Grammy for Best Metal Performance in 2004. I don't know about all of that, but I know it's number 7 on my list out of 11, so that's pretty good. All right, now this album, number 6 on our list, is something that I think happens maybe two times altogether on this. We actually came to an agreement on this one. So number 6 on our list is kind of a disgusting cover, if you know what the cover is. That is called Load. And if you don't know what that is, on the album cover, that is a mixture of blood and semen. If you're a dodgeball fan, you'll get the joke, not together, but on the album cover it actually is. Anyway, Load. What a great album for me. I believe Load, and we're both in agreement on this. It was their 6th studio album, released in 1996. It definitely marked a significant shift in Metallica's style. More of a hard rock alternative sound instead of the thrash metal. Of course, they cut their hair and they dressed different. They were wearing eye makeup and they were trying to stay relevant and be experimental and trying to maybe grab a new audience. I don't know. Three great songs on there. Of course, Ain't My Bitch, a hard-hitting opening song with a groovy riff and defiant lyrics. Unbelievable song there. Until It Sleeps, a great ballad about James's mom's death from cancer. Just heart-wrenching. And of course, King Nothing. That is the great song about the emptiness of materialism, featuring memorable riffs and a great sing-along chorus. Now, reviews were mixed from hating it to a very positive review. Critics praised the band's willingness to experiment, but noted that the stylistic change alienated some of their longtime fans, which I was one of them. I hated this damn album when it came out. I literally threw it in the garbage. This is not my Metallica, blah, blah, blah. This is not my band that I've tattooed on my arm. And then once I became sober in 99, then that album made all kinds of sense to me. So once again, Low debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold millions of copies worldwide. So not taking anything against, taking anything away from that album, but just not as great as it could have been. Number 5 on the list is another one that Rolling Stone magazine and myself both agree on. It was my first introduction to what I now consider a lifestyle. That is Kill 'Em All. That is the first studio album released by Metallica back in 1983. It is widely regarded as a groundbreaking release that helped define the thrash metal genre. Now, of course, at the same time, we had the big four. We had Slayer, we had Anthrax, and we had Megadeth. Now, of course, Megadeth spurred off of Dave Mustaine getting kicked out of Metallica and forming Megadeth. Of course, Anthrax, Slayer, two amazing thrash metal bands. But there were a lot of bands that got passed over during this time in 83 to 85, 86. Testament, Exodus, I mean, there's so many of them that deserved more credit than they got back in that day because they were just as heavy and just as hard as Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, and Megadeth, but they just didn't get the critical acclaim. The album was recorded on a tight budget of about $15,000, according to the band's manager at the time, Johnny Z, who helped secure their first record deal with Megaforce Records. My personal 3 favorite songs on that album, I love all 10 songs that are on it. If you have the deluxe cop that has the Am I Evil on it. Hit the Lights, opening track, just by far the great thrash metal song right there. The Four Horsemen, great sing-along. Of course, they do that in concert all the time. And probably the best tribute to headbanging and raw energy of a metal song of all time is Whiplash. Listen to the lyrics, man. Bang your head against the stage like you never did before. I mean, he's really talking about just going... For those of you that don't understand thrash metal, heavy metal, when we go to these shows, especially back when I was a young kid, we didn't go there to cause damage to anything or anybody. And I'm talking the 85, 86 era when I really started going to concerts. We absolutely acted a fool when we were out on the, thrashing, or we were doing whatever. So when we would get into the mosh pits or anything like that, we weren't trying to hurt anybody, man, but you had to find a place to let out that teen angst, that aggression that you had, because your body's going through changes. Society sucks. school sucks, your parents suck, you know, but when you're in that pit with all them people, man, dude, you're all there for one reason. That is to absolutely tear it up to your favorite bands. And that, of course, at the time was Metallica for me. So Whiplash to me to this day, by far, probably, definitely in my top 5 songs. I love them so much. While it was not a commercial hit, Kill 'Em All received positive reviews, and it has finally been certified 3 times platinum in the U.S. Actually, I believe it's almost at 4.5 million, so it's actually 4 times platinum. Kill 'Em All is considered one of the first thrash metal albums combining speed and aggression of punk rock with the technical precision of heavy metal. The album was inspired by bands like Motorhead, Diamond Head, and of course Venom, all along with the new wave of British heavy metal, which the boys in Metallica were all about. They loved the new wave of British heavy metal, which of course, new wave of British heavy metal was Iron Maiden and Judas Priest at the time as well. All right, number 4 on our list, between both Rolling Stone and I. Number 4 on our list, they say it's Ride the Lightning. That's pretty bold of them, honestly, because Ride the Lightning is a great album, and it deserves to be higher than number 4. But, and I am saying, of course, it is hard to see on the screen, but it is the Black Album. Yes, it is the Black Album. That is Metallica's commercial success album, if you want to call it. That one is often it's called Metallica, but it's referred to as the Black Album. It was their 5th studio album, released in 1991. It marked a significant turning point in the band's career, achieving massive commercial success and introducing Metallica to a broader audience. Oh my God, when I went to see this tour, there were 14-year-old girls in the audience because Metallica was on MTV. Fark. I didn't swear. I was pissed. All these little screaming. Dude, we're not there for screaming. Anyway, the 3 big songs on there that I personally love, of course, Enter Sandman, the lead single, and of course one of probably their most iconic songs, besides one of them coming up here soon. Sad But True, great groove-driven track with some heavy inner conflict stuff. And then, of course, their second, third, fourth, fifth, I think they almost did probably their third ballad. The Unforgiven, great ballad. I know they got a lot of crap for doing a ballad, but one was also considered a ballad. The album received widespread praise for its production quality, accessible sound, MTV, and powerful songwriting. The songs were written very well. It introduced Metallica to the mainstream audiences without alienating their core fan base. Bullshit. You alienated so many of your fan base with that album. We were not happy. Once again, this was not our Metallica from the first 4 albums. You guys changed, but Jason Newsted said it best. Yeah, did we sell out? Absolutely. Every single night, every seat in the house. You know what? It's about making money. It's a business for them, and it's a business for anybody who's in there. It shouldn't be. It should be about the music, but you can't eat words, so you got to feed your family, so you got to make sure you're writing the good stuff. Of course, it sold 30 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time, which is absolutely amazing. And it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 back in 1991. I remember exactly where I was, standing in line at the Maplewood Mall in front of the Sam Goody, waiting for that thing to come out in its big old blister pack that was about this big. I bought the cassette and the CD because I had a cassette player in the car and I had a CD player at home. I wore that album out. Was still not happy that they changed their thing, their look and their sound, but I mean, there's some great tracks on there. Of Wolf and Men, Don't Tread on Me. I mean, just front to back, it's a great album. So that is number 4 on my list of the top 11. I don't necessarily agree with number 4 being Ride the Lightning, theirs, but hey, that's why we're having this list. All right, number 3 on the Rolling Stones list and my list are different albums. They're going with the Black Album. We just talked about the Black Album in full there just a minute ago. My number 4 album, their number 3 album. My number 3 album is And Justice for All. I love Justice. I think I have it on vinyl. I have it on CD. I don't have it on cassette anymore. Obviously, I have it on my computer, and I even illegally downloaded a And Justice for Jason album that I found that somebody actually enhanced the bass line on it so Jason could get a little justice for himself on that album, because they absolutely left Jason off of that album. There is no significant bass on that album at all. And Justice for All was the 4th studio album released in 1988. It marked a pivotal moment for the band, as it was their first album recorded after the death of the amazing, talented Cliff Burton, who died in 1986 in a horrific bus accident while the band was in, I believe, Stockholm, Sweden. If it wasn't Stockholm, I'm sorry. Justice is by far one of the great thrash albums of all time. This was the album that Jason, like I said, Jason Newsted joined the band in '86 after Cliff had died. The 3 songs that really stand out for me on this one, and of course, there's one is probably the biggest, because that was their first recorded music video. And when I saw them on MTV, I went, shit, really? All right, here we go. Now, my favorite band is on MTV, which means everybody in the world is going to know about them. Blackened in the End, great rapid fire riffs and lyrics about the environmental apocalypse that's coming. It's still on its way. And Harvester of Sorrow. Now, I love Harvester of Sorrow live when James gets the crowd involved in this song. Absolutely think it's one of the best sing-alongs that they have. This album received widespread praise for its ambition, its musicianship, and the lyrical depth. However, the production, once again, lacking Jason Newsted on it. Oh, and they lost to Jethro Tull at the Grammys that year for Best Hard Rock Metal Album. Don't get me wrong, I have some Jethro Tull albums, but seriously, Jethro Tull Hard Rock Metal Album, they lose to Metallica. I mean, Metallica loses to Jethro Tull. Grammys, get your shit together. Anyway, And Justice for All, great album. And Justice for All, number 3 on my list of the top albums from Metallica. We both agree on the number 1 album. You'll see that here in just a second. So number 2 for them, they said Justice for All was the second best Metallica album. And I say it's Ride the Lightning. The only reason I think I put it a little bit lower than, or higher than Justice, is I was introduced to Metallica back in '83 when I got a copy of Kill 'Em All from a friend in school and said, you got to hear this. I was like 13, and this was something I had never heard before. Well, then in '84, when they released their second album, it blew me away. And there are 3 songs on there that are still staples to this day in the Metallica live set list. For Whom the Bell Tolls, of course, that was inspired by Ernest Hemingway's novel For Whom the Bell Tolls. Great song. Fade to Black, this is their first ballad that they did. This one here really probably is my favorite Metallica song, I have to say. It deals with depression and despair, which I have dealt with pretty much all my life. Until I got into music a little bit more, I didn't know how to release that depression and that despair, and I'm learning still to this day how to deal with that. And of course, the title track, Ride the Lightning, great song. It received praise for its ambitious songwriting, its thematic depth, Critics recognized it as a major step forward for the band because their first album was pretty raw. You could hear the mistakes that were being made. It was not a huge success because the underground scene for thrash metal just was not mainstream yet. But it has steadily grown over the years, and it is now considered a 6-time platinum certification in the United States. So Ride the Lightning is number 2 on the top 11 albums, studio albums for me, in Metallica's career. All right, and of course, without any further wasting time, number 1, both of us agreed on Master of Puppets. This is by far a staple album in not only just in rock and roll, but in heavy metal, in any kind of music. This is their 3rd studio album, released in 1986. It is widely regarded as one of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time, a masterpiece of thrash metal. The album combines technical brilliance with thematic depth and unrelenting power, helped by Metallica's achieving critical acclaim and expanding their fan base significantly. All right, so I'm going to play my favorite song off the album for just 10 seconds for you. Sorry about that loudness there for a second. Anyway, that is Metallica's Master of Puppets right there. Great album. Of course, there's 3 huge songs on there that I love very much. Orion, my great-grandson is actually named Orion, so that made me even happier. That is by far Cliff Burton's most amazing bass work. His solo in that is unbelievable. Welcome Home Sanitarium, what I just played for you, of course, and the title track, Master of Puppets. This one here, the album only peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Top 200, but it has been certified 6 times platinum, and even though it received minimal radio play. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my top 11. If there's anything you want me to do a topic on, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to do it for you. And I appreciate you taking time to listen to me talk about my favorite band, one of my favorite bands, Metallica, and ranking their albums. Once again, don't forget that first podcast is coming up real soon with my special guest. We're going to be recording that early May. Anyway, peace, love, and happiness to all of you out there because, of course, without you, I would be nothing. Love you. Bye-bye.